In the heart of the American desert, hidden beneath the ruins of an abandoned mansion, lies an anomaly that defies time and space. When physicist Mark Zuckerberg and his team uncovered the legendary chrono mirror, they think they've found the key to a scientific revolution. But as reality begins to fracture around them and shadows stir beyond the glass, one terrifying truth becomes clear. Some doors should never be opened. A jeep sped along the deserted desert road, kicking up a cloud of dust. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. There was an eerie silence in the air, unsettling stillness that felt unusual, even for the vast emptiness of the desert. Inside the jeep, Mark Zuckerberg focused intently on his portable quantum sensor. The rapidly shifting graphs and fluctuating numbers on the screen were alarming. "This is impossible," Mark muttered. "How can such high energy readings exist in this area? This place is supposed to be desolate." James, sitting in the front, chuckled lightly. "Maybe your sensor is malfunctioning, Mark." Mark shook his head. "No, this device is perfectly calibrated. This means there's an unknown energy field here, something beyond our conventional physics." The jeep approached the village where a small group of locals had gathered. Their faces reflected a mixture of concern and fear. An elderly woman, her face lined with deep wrinkles, eyes filled with wisdom, stepped forward. The old lady spoke in a slow, ominous tone. "You are heading toward the mansion where the vortex of energy exists. That place is not ordinary. Time and space do not follow their usual rules there." Eliza, who had been observing the village structures with curiosity, asked, "Are you saying there is some sort of anomalous energy there?" The old lady nodded. "That place is cursed. Few who enter ever return, and those who do, they are never the same." Mark listened carefully and then said in a serious tone, "If this energy can truly affect time and space, then this could be a revolutionary discovery for science." A murmur spread through the crowd. Some villagers took a step back as if they had heard something dreadful, but Mark, Eliza, James, and Gianna had already made up their minds. They stepped out of the jeep and advanced toward the mansion. The mansion was a grand yet decaying structure, its walls bearing the marks of time. A dense fog surrounded it, an unearthly presence looming in the air. As soon as they entered, Mark reactivated his quantum sensor. The energy graph on the screen fluctuated wildly. Numbers spiked unpredictably, and suddenly a bright red warning appeared on the display. This is impossible." Mark's voice was a mix of excitement and fear. "This energy is more powerful than any known natural source. We need to investigate this further, immediately." The air inside the mansion felt heavy, almost unnatural. No one spoke, but a single thought echoed in everyone's mind. Were they walking into an unknown danger? As they stepped deeper into the mansion, James activated his magnetometer, scanning for magnetic field anomalies. The device immediately started beeping erratically, the readings spiking beyond expected values. "This is incredible," James whispered. "The magnetic field here is not just strong, it's unstable and completely irregular. Something is actively distorting." Eliza, meanwhile, was examining the ancient artifacts scattered across the dusty shelves and tables. She carefully traced her fingers over strange carvings on a stone tablet. "These are resonance symbols. They're designed to concentrate sound waves. This place might have been used for some kind of acoustic energy experiment." Gianna, eager to test this theory, activated her high-frequency microphone, capable of detecting sounds beyond human perception. The moment she turned it on, a series of eerie, low-frequency vibrations filled her headset. She adjusted the frequency, and suddenly a pattern emerged. Whispers, rhythmic and otherworldly. I think I'm picking up something," she said hesitantly, "but it's not human." Before anyone could react, a loud creak echoed through the hall. One by one, the massive wooden doors slammed shut on their own. The sound reverberated through the walls like a thunderclap. Mark quickly glanced at his sensor. "This could be energy field interference," he reasoned. "The anomaly might be affecting the structural integrity of the place." But deep down, everyone felt the same chilling realization. Something was responding to their presence. That night, the mansion grew even more unsettled. A deep, unnatural silence filled the air, broken only by the occasional creaks and groans of the old structure. Suddenly, Gianna's high-frequency audio sensors detected something strange. Her equipment began capturing a series of bizarre sound waves, both infrasound and ultrasound, frequencies known to affect the human brain. "Guys, something's here," Gianna whispered, adjusting her headset. "These frequencies, they can induce hallucinations, nausea, even fear. We might not be alone." A sudden gust of wind rushed through the hallway, causing the windows to fly open and then slam shut with a deafening bang. James flinched and quickly checked his magnetometer. "This could be due to rapid changes in the magnetic field," he suggested. "Extreme shifts like this can influence metallic objects, even affect electricity." The lights flickered violently, casting eerie shadows across the walls. Mark frowned, checking his quantum sensor. "Electromagnetic interference," he murmured. "This energy field is distorting the electrical flow in the atmosphere." Eliza, standing near an ancient wall engraving, placed her hand against the cold stone. A strange vibration pulsed beneath her fingertips. I think the mansion is experiencing energy resistance," she said slowly. "If this continues, it could distort time and space itself." A deep, guttural whisper filled the room, coming from nowhere and everywhere at once. The air turned ice cold. Something was waking up. As the team cautiously explored deeper into the mansion, James stumbled upon a hidden doorway, partially concealed behind an old bookshelf. With some effort, he pushed it open, revealing a dimly lit chamber filled with dust-covered relics. At the center of the room, an ancient diary lay atop a wooden pedestal. Next to it, rolled up parchments and brittle maps were scattered. James carefully picked up the diary, flipping through its yellowed pages. His eyes widened as he deciphered the writings. "These are ancient geological maps," he said, excitement in his voice. "They indicate the locations of energy vortexes, concentrated points of immense power." Eliza, intrigued, examined the diagrams. "This is incredible. The symbols match the resonance carvings we saw earlier. This place was built around a major energy source. As she spoke, Mark scanned the room with his quantum sensor. There's something else meant, she noted, pointing at the diary. It talks about a resonance chamber and something called the chrono mirror. Gianna frowned. Chrono mirror? What is that? Mark's expression darkened. If this diary is accurate, the chrono mirror could be a resonance device, something capable of amplifying and distorting energy fields. If it's still functional, it might be responsible for the anomalies we're experiencing. The realization sent a chill down their spines. If the chrono mirror is still active, James started but hesitated. It might not just be distorting energy, it could be manipulating time itself. Silence filled the hidden chamber as the weight of their discovery sank in, and then, from the far end of the room, a faint glow flickered to life. Eliza sat cross-legged on the dusty floor of the hidden chamber, carefully turning the fragile pages of the ancient diary. The candlelight flickered against the damp walls, casting long, dancing shadows. The air was thick with dust, and the only sound in the room was the soft scratching of Eliza's pen as she jotted down notes in her journal. This language is archaic, but I think I can decipher. She traced her fingers over the faded ink, whispering the words as she translated. It says, "The chrono mirror is not a cursed object, but a gateway, an instrument of energy capable of breaching the walls of time." Mark leaned in, his eyes gleaming with curiosity. A gateway? That sounds like a controlled energy field manipulation. Could it be a form of quantum tunneling? He tapped his chin, processing the implications. If this is real, we're not just dealing with residual energy. This is an active anomaly, something functioning beyond our current scientific understanding. James, flipping through the riddle maps, pointed to a set of markings. Look at this. These symbols match the locations of energy vortexes we identified earlier. If the chrono mirror is connected to these sites, it means that someone, maybe centuries ago, knew how to harness and control these forces. Gianna shivered, hugging her arms. And according to local legends, they used it as a gate of time. If that's true, can it still be active? Could it still be opening? A heavy silence filled the room. The thought sent a collective shiver down spines. Eliza cleared her throat, continuing the translation. The diary mentions that the chrono mirror was created to unravel the veil of time, and that only those who understand its resonance can walk beyond the threshold. It doesn't say what lies beyond, but it warns of shadows that do not belong to this world. Mark's breath hitched. That sounds a lot like interdimensional interference. If this device can manipulate time and space, it might be opening temporary wormholes, passageways to other realities. James frowned. That would explain the strange energy fluctuations we've been seeing. The anomalies aren't just random. They're reactions. The chrono mirror might still be functioning in some capacity, even after all this time. Eliza nodded slowly. And if that's the case, then we need to find immediate before something or someone crosses through. A sudden gust of wind howled through the chamber, extinguishing the candlelight. The room plunged into darkness. Somewhere in the mansion, a door creaked open on its own. Something had been listening. Gianna cautiously stepped into the basement, her flashlight cutting through the thick darkness. The air was damp and heavy, carrying the scent of earth decay. As she moved deeper, she noticed an arched tunnel carved into the stone, its walls lined with strange engravings. The symbols were intricate, pulsing faintly under the beam of her light. "Guys, you need to see this," she called out, her voice echoing eerily. Mark, James, and Eliza hurried down the steps, their own flashlights sweeping across the cavernous space. As they entered the tunnel, the air seemed to hum with a low-frequency vibration. "This place is ancient," Eliza whispered, running her fingers over the engraved symbols. "These markings resemble the resonance patterns we saw in the diary." The tunnel led them to a vast underground chamber, an enormous circular space with high vaulted ceilings. At the center stood a series of massive metallic structures arranged in a deliberate pattern, their surfaces covered in the same resonance symbols. This must be the resonance chamber," Mark said in awe. He moved forward, activating his quantum scanner. The device immediately spiked with erratic readings. These structures, they're designed to amplify and concentrate energy. It's like a giant tuning fork for quantum frequencies. James pulled out his magnetometer, carefully scanning the area. The device's readings went wild. "I think we found the exact center of the energy vortex. The geomagnetic field here is completely unstable. It's as if the Earth's natural forces are being manipulated." Eliza studied the inscriptions more closely. If this chamber is designed to enhance and control energy, then it means someone or something built it with a purpose. But for what? Mark's expression darkened. If the chrono mirror is real, this chamber could be the key to activating it. If this system is still operational, it could explain all the anomalies we've encountered. A sudden pulse of energy rippled through the air, making their devices flicker uncontrollably. Then, from the depths of the chamber, a faint mechanical hum began to rise. Something was waking up. As they moved deeper into the resonance chamber, a metallic glint caught Mark's eye. At the far end of the room, partially concealed by layers of dust and debris, stood an enormous reflective surface, smooth, dark, and humming with energy. Eliza gasped. "This must be it. The chrono mirror." Mark approached cautiously, his quantum scanner beeping erratically. He placed his hand inches away from the surface, feeling the air vibrate between his fingers. "It's more than a mirror. It's a resonator. This thing is designed to concentrate and amplify energy, possibly even manipulate it. If my readings are correct, it's still active." James adjusted his magnetometer, frowning as the readings spiked uncontrollably. "The magnetic field here is off the charts. It's at least 10 times stronger than anything we've recorded above ground. It's as if this entire space is being pulled into a singular energy." Gianna set up her high-frequency audio, pressing her headphones to her ears, her eyes wide. "I'm picking up sound waves beyond the human hearing range. The frequencies are shifting, oscillating. It's as if the mirror is singing, creating a resonance that distorts the air around." Eliza, still studying the inscriptions on the surrounding structures, murmured, "The diary said the chrono mirror was a gate of time. If it's truly functional, it might be capable of bending the laws of physics themselves." A sudden pulse of energy surged surged through the room. The mirror's surface rippled, as though something on the other side had stirred. Mark took a step back. Whatever this is, it's waking up. A deep, low hum filled the chamber. The air crackled with unseen forces. Then, from within the depths of the mirror, a shadow moved. Eliza hesitated before stepping closer to the chrono mirror. A strange force seemed to pull her toward it, an invisible gravity that made her skin prickle. Slowly, she peered into its dark surface, expecting to see her own reflection, but there was nothing. Then, suddenly, the mirror shimmered, and a new image emerged. An alien landscape, shifting and distorting like a dream. Towering structures floated in the sky, their forms bending in ways that defied logic. Shadows moved across an unfamiliar horizon, their figures indistinct yet eerily humanoid. Her breath caught and rose. I can see some other places, other worlds. Mark's voice was urgent. Step back, Eliza. If this is what I think it is, the mirror isn't just reflected, it's showing us a different dimension, a wormhole or some kind of quantum tunneling gateway. James, scanning the surrounding environment with his instruments, looked alarmed. The electromagnetic field is fluctuating wildly. The very fabric of space here is unstable. The mirror isn't just revealing another place, it's distorting time and space itself. If we stay too close, we could be pulled in. Gianna, still monitoring the high-frequency waves, gasped. The resonance, it's increasing. Something on the other side is aware of us. It's reacting. A ripple spread across the mirror's surface like a disturbance in water. The air grew thick, heavy with unseen pressure. The chamber trembled as if the energy within the mirror was reaching out. Eliza took a shaky step back. If this is truly a gate, what happens if it fully opens? A deep, resonant sound echoed through the chamber. From the depths of the mirror, the shadow moved closer this time. And then, for the briefest moment, something reached back. A deep, pulsing hum filled the air, vibrating through the very foundation of the mansion. The walls trembled, dust cascading, the ceilings, an unseen force surged resonance chamber. The energy levels spiked, their devices flickering wildly. Response. Mark braced himself against the shaking ground. This isn't an earthquake, this is energy resonance. The mirror is amplifying the frequencies around us. Eliza clutched her head, a piercing sound ringing in her ears. It's getting stronger. The whole structure is reacting to the fluctuations. James struggled to steady his magnetometer, the readings fluctuating so violently that they made no sense. The electromagnetic field is spiraling out of control. If this keeps up, the entire area could destabilize. Gianna suddenly staggered, her hands pressing against her temples, her vision blurred, the frequencies overwhelming her senses. I can't. Her voice faded as her body went limp, collapsing to the ground. James rushed to her side, checking her vitals. She's unconscious. The high-frequency sound waves are affecting her nervous system. We have to get her out of here before. A deafening crack resounded through the chamber. The mirror's surface rippled violently as though something massive was trying to break through. The resonance grew stronger, the air thick with a static charge. Mark's expression darkened. We don't have much time. If this chamber was designed to control energy, then right now it's losing control. If we don't shut this down soon, we could be looking at a catastrophic energy surge, or worse. Another pulse of energy exploded outward, sending them staggering back. The chamber groaned as fractures spread across the walls, and in the mirror's shifting depths, the shadow moved again, closer, clearer, watching. As the chamber trembled with raw energy, a slow, deliberate set of footsteps echoed from the entrance. The team turned sharp, their nerves already frayed. Mr. Parker stood in the archway, his eyes shadowed yet tense. Despite the chaotic energy swirling around them, he appeared calm, almost as if he had expected this moment. You've finally seen it for what it truly is, he said, stepping forward. The chrono mirror is not just a relic, it is an energy conduit, a gateway built by those who understood the forces that shape reality itself. Eliza, still holding her head from the resonance effect, forced herself to focus. You knew about this all along? You knew what was buried beneath the mansion? Parker nodded solemnly. This place was never just a mansion. It was a sanctuary, a containment field designed to stabilize the energies of the mirror. But its purpose has been lost to time. What remains is power. Power few can comprehend. Mark tightened his grip on his scanner, watching as the fluctuating readings danced wild. If this is an ancient energy device, then it's not just a portal. It's a quantum mechanism capable of controlling energy on an unprecedented scale. This isn't just history, Parker. This is advanced physics. James, still monitoring the mirror, glanced up. If the civilizations that built this knew how to manipulate quantum energy, then they weren't just experimenting. They were harnessing something beyond our understanding. Gianna stirred slightly, groaning as she began to regain consciousness. Parker looked at her, then at the team. You've awakened something here, and now you must decide. Will you control it, or will it control you? A new pulse of energy rippled through the room as if the mirror itself was waiting for their answer. Determination flashed in Mark's eyes as he stepped toward the chrono mirror. The resonance was intensifying, the air crackling with barely contained energy. He knew they had to act before it was too late. Without hesitation, he reached into his pack, pulling out a small, high-frequency disruptor. If he could overload the mirror's energy field, destabilize its core resonance, he might be able to destroy it. Mark, wait! Eliza called out, but it was too late. He activated the device. A sharp, piercing hum filled the chamber as the disruptor pulsed, sending waves of interference toward the mirror. The surface of the mirror rippled violently, distorting like a liquid caught in a storm. The shadow within recoiled, twisting into something incomprehensible. Then, a blinding explosion of energy erupted from the mirror, sending shockwaves through the room. The force knocked Mark back, his body slamming against the stone floor. He let out a strangled gasp before his consciousness faded into darkness. Eliza, James, and Gianna shielded themselves as the energy vortex grew unstable. Sparks of blue and white light crackled through the air, illuminating Parker's grim expression. And then, suddenly, silence. The mirror was gone. Not shattered, not broke, simply vanished. The pulsing hum ceased. The walls stopped trembling. The heavy, suffocating pressure in and the air lifted, replaced by an eerie stillness. It was as if the mirror had never been there at all. James knelt beside Mark, checked vitals. He's alive, just unconscious. The energy surge must have overloaded his nervous system. Eliza glanced at the empty space where the mirror had stood. It didn't break, it dissolved. It's as if it collapsed into its own quantum state. James nodded. The chrono mirror didn't just disappear, it merged back to quantum energy. It was never just a solid object. It existed in multiple states at once. And now, it's gone. Parker exhaled slowly, his eyes unreadable, or maybe simply waiting for the right moment to return. The silence after the explosion was deafening. The air still crackled with residual energy, and a faint hum lingered, as if the mansion itself was exhaling after the chaos. James helped Mark to his feet, his body still weak from the energy surge. Eliza and Gianna exchanged wary glances before turning to Parker, who remained motionless, staring at the empty space where the chrono mirror had once stood. "We need to leave now," Eliza urged. They didn't need convincing. The mansion felt unstable, as if its very foundation had been altered by the energy release. Without wasting another second, they sprinted through the corridors, the flickering lights casting eerie shadows against the cracked walls. The moment they burst through the front doors, a sudden gust of wind howled through the desert. The air felt different, lighter, yet charged with something unseen. They didn't stop running until they were far from the mansion, panting under the moonlit sky. Mark, still breathing heavily, turned to face the ancient structure one last time. "It's not over," he said, his voice laced with certainty. "The chrono mirror, it's still active. It's just not here anymore." James frowned. "You think it still exists somewhere?" Mark nodded. "Quantum energy doesn't just vanish, it shifts, it waits, and one day it will return." Gianna shivered, hugging herself against the night air. "Then we better hope we're not here when it does." Parker exhaled slowly, watching the mansion with a knowing expression. Some things are meant to remain buried, but time has a way of unearthing secrets, whether we want it to or not. With that, they turned away, walking toward the unknown, leaving the haunted mansion behind. But the whisper of the resonance still lingered in the air, as if the chrono mirror was watching, wait for its moment to return.